Where is it? Okay, I guess we can start it now. With that, I just now checking my Twitch. Apparently, the audio wasn't audible for that music I was playing. Just a little interlude.
That's all right.
Let me.
Are we going to go through all 3 episodes?
That's what I figured. Since there's not much, there's not much in the first one. We can give our thoughts on that one and our thoughts on the second one. This is, I guess, first. Welcome all who are showed up for this. If there is anybody here, this is live. This will be the first podcast or style review for, I guess, My Hero Academia. We'll see how this goes, and then we'll tread in the other territory later on, depending on depending how we feel and whatnot. Yeah, this is like an anime for all episodes 1 to 3 of My Hero Academia review. We're just gonna give our thoughts on how we felt about the episode, and I guess certain characters, and if anything else pops up, we'll also do that too. Be known, we probably will tangent a lot. Okay, but yeah, we're gonna. I think we'll just do that, unless you want to tackle it a different way. It's up to you.
I thought we were going to do a deep character analysis of Froppy.
If anybody who does not know, Jock has a fanboy boner for Frobby.
What are you
He
trying
wants
to
to
say?
do frogs. This is what I'm getting from all this.
I just think they should call it My Froppy Academia.
You know, I'm glad you chose like Academia right there after you said Frothy because that wouldn't have sounded right any other word.
My Hero Froppy.
No, we're just gonna go. We'll see here. I guess for anybody, and he's not serious because I hope he's not. I don't know. I've only known him for 3 years, I think, but I still don't get him.
I
But
think it's been more than 3 years.
really, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't count.
Okay, so let's use Shell Shock as my count. Like, when did I first buy Shell Shock? It's been more
I
than 3 years with that. You knew me before Jessie was pregnant, so that's at least 3 years, right?
did I?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew of you when you were moving into your house, but oh, on to on to the topic at hand. Tangent number one. As
I
Josh
would live in
figures
this
out
house
how
for
long we've known each
7 years.
other. This is really bad considering we're doing this podcast. This is showing the interconnections of friendship. As of now, we don't have any. But I guess episode one, just to get that out of the way, it was a
Wait,
filler
you mean
episode.
we're not friends? I thought we were friends.
Interwoven connections of friendship. This is what we're
That
dealing
is
with for now.
that is the most dead air you have ever put out on the internet ever.
Really? I think my YouTube channel would say otherwise. There's been nothing but dead air on
I
there.
thought we were friends, and
Oh, but
oh my god.
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but I'm sorry.
Oh my god. I thought I was your best friend. Since when am I not your best friend?
I have a lot of friends, man. You were just one of
Oh
them.
my god. Okay, so what are you gonna tell me about this?
Nothing. What I was saying that we were on episode one. Just get that out of the way. It was filler. Unexpected filler. There, like this was something I was not expecting, considering that I read the next arc all the way through. So I was quite disappointed that they decided to do this. But I guess in a way, it was kind of interesting. I guess one thing I guess
Mm,
about the one character and then that one new character that they showed in the entire anime. Um,
entire episode.
After yeah, well yeah that meant but the entire episode, the new character they showed. Um, I was actually surprised that I didn't really realize this at the time when they were talking. But some people made some interesting implications about this guy, saying like his quirk could be used for some serious perversion. Now,
The
before
camera one?
yeah, the camera.
You mean like to take pictures of Froppy?
We'll take pictures of any girl on that show. I mean, you want to use Froppy as an example, sure.
I guess so. I mean, he was able to take pictures apparently without anybody noticing, which is pretty interesting.
I mean, I think
Um,
he's not really even real in the manga, which is really surprising. Like I said before, liberties that this anime is taking. I'm surprised they decided to take a liberty with him. I can only imagine that he might be, maybe he's another one of those characters that the manga creator held contests for people to create. We'll actually get into that in episode three when we talk about there. I actually maybe episode two. I forgot. Did she show up there? She might have showed up in episode two, but no, she didn't. No, she didn't. But episode one, yeah, but that, like the character. Honestly, I guess before we move on from that, as we get your thoughts on it too, but I when he's talking about how he accidentally took a picture. That didn't register in my mind when he first said that was accidentally took a picture. That didn't really register until I started thinking about it. Like, wait, how'd you accidentally take a picture? And then I'm sitting there and I forget that we're in the world of quirks, and apparently his quirk was called Lens, which is really disturbing how his quirk works.
yeah, I guess it is. I think it's just a standard origin story about how somebody didn't know that their quirk worked. Like, you could compare it to Magneto when like his parents were being taken away in Auschwitz and he reached his hand out and wanted to like pull them back to him and he ended up pulling like the gate apart, in the X-Men movie. It was a traumatic experience and you wanted to do something and you just instinctively like trigger your ability, that you didn't realize you had. So it's not that Auschwitz is the same thing as taking a picture, but it was a traumatic situation for both of them. You know what I mean? And they just reached their hand out in both cases and use their power instinctively. So I think that was the idea that under like duress, you know what I mean? You just trigger your power. You see that kind of thing a lot though. Like you see that's how a lot of people end up discovering their power is like some emotional high point moment, you know what I mean, sets it off.
That's not what I was really talking about. I was just talking about how like just the oddity of with the lenses off his body. That's what I was mostly concerned with. I could care less about how he activated. I was just more like it was just as weird that he could take multiple angles because of how his quirk works. But
I mean, is it really that much different than being able to make a raincoat from your stomach?
you talking about Momo or
Yeah.
Crazy?
Like she can make gas masks and raincoats and protective coverings and everything else from her stomach. So I mean, that's basically like a broader power. Like she would literally be able to make cameras from her stomach too. She just wouldn't be able to store the images in her body like that guy can, you know?
I was just mostly nitpicking at just the angles that his quirk. All I'm saying that the lenses thing was. I mean, amongst all the characters, I mean, all the powers we've seen. To me, the lens and how it worked just seemed weird. And I feel like it was only made for convenience of like, well, this is how we're getting pictures of certain how they're I guess going to get pictures of certain characters in the future. Uh, like honestly, I'm trying to figure out like I wonder where his character came from. If this is an original idea from the creator or some like fan made idea. I don't know where this guy came from. Like, I really, I guess it's the one thing that's really bothering me.
I think he's a plot device. I don't think, I mean, you know better than I do because you've read.
Well,
My
that's the
guess is,
thing. I don't, at least from what the point that I read, because I stopped reading, by the way, mostly just for my sake alone. But up to the point that I do know of, there is no character, not even like a fan made character that I'm aware of. So I'm almost thinking maybe this is a creative liberty taken by the animators. Maybe he's
I
gonna be
think,
used in filler episodes now. I don't really know. 'Cause it seems like
I think what they're,
he's not a throwaway character. Is I guess the basis of what I'm getting at. He's not a throwaway character. It'd be
I
really
think that
weird.
what they're doing is setting the tone for the episode, for the series by opening with not only like showing that Midoriya, you know what I mean, is inheriting it and using that as kind of a recap point, and also explaining to Midoriya kind of directly like how important what he's doing is to not just the people he saves, but people in general. You know what I mean? It's setting the tone for that. Like you are more important than the people you save. Like you are an inspiration and a point of psychological safety for all people, whether they're in danger or not. But at the same time, it's also exposing how vulnerable he is. It's like, look, this random guy that showed up and has you completely figured out. All the evidence that he used to figure out who you are is available to everybody. He's not special, and you know he doesn't have some insider scoop or anything like that. He just has good instincts and the same info everybody else has. So you better be freaking careful because he got in here and it could have been anybody. You know what I mean? And I know Discount Batman teacher like was a little suspicious of him. You know what I mean? And he stepped aside, which is also kind of emphasizes the vulnerability of Midoriya right now. That he's continuing to step aside now and let Midoriya get in danger because then we see in the following episodes that now he's got his hero's license and he's going to be brought out to fight other enemies, villains now, like officially, legally, you know what I mean? And yet he's not able to stamp out of like a real hero's hands. So like when he's fighting real villains, like not just these like 2-bit ones and stuff, like that's a lot of real danger for him because you know what I mean? So I think they've been slowly building up how vulnerable he is, and it starts with that first episode where this guy just shows up. You know what I mean? And like could have completely like if he had decided to report that, which was totally up to him, then he could have completely like crushed Midoriya. Like everybody would be hunting Midoriya from that point. Midoriya's would have a very hard time surviving. You know what I mean? With the announcement that he was, you know, the next All Might. He's not ready for that level of visibility yet.
I guess. I mean, I guess as we talk, we're on this episode one talking. I just took it as he wanted to meet the next. He wanted to meet the next hero, and I guess in a way, yeah, he was showing that he's getting there. But UA has been notorious for people just being able to slip in. I mean, like that reporter from the first season got in. I think one of the reporters, anyway, like they managed to sneak up on them, exposing just how like weak their security is. But I think it just came out he wanted to meet the next hero, and he had his suspicions, and his suspicions were confirmed because of he's just a good reporter. And I think he just, I guess in a way, I guess this is also leading into like Midoriya's reasoning
Mm.
for wanting to be a hero, because I think he did ask him, I guess what were you planning to do, or like what was your, I guess ultimate, well not ultimate goal, but he just wanted to know, he wanted to meet the kind of person he was before he became the next symbol of peace, because I feel like he's gonna be the one to report on that. I guess is what he essentially made it seem like. But as again before, the little bit that I do know of now, I could be wrong. Maybe this is a character from the current point in the manga that I don't know about.
Mhm.
It just seems kind of weird that if that is the case, I wonder why they decided to. It makes sense that he would be here now, but it just seems kind of weird if he was in the future point. From what I do know of, that's very far in the future. Like it's kind of weird that they decided to pull him in, but
Mm.
I mean, whatever. But I guess we're going on
I
as we
still
go.
think though that it makes him. It did make me feel like, oh crap, anybody can. This this guy, like, they make him to be kind of a clever reporter, but then when he gets back there, he's like, I forget what he says, but the story he ends up giving the people that they're really happy about is something like, oh, they eat peas every day for lunch or something, and they're like, oh my god, what's up there?
Like I
Come
said,
through, dude.
well, I mean that's the other thing
You
too.
know.
That agency in general doesn't exist either. Well, I can't say that because like I mean it's never been confirmed or denied, but still, I don't remember seeing the agency either, which is also a bigger shock. As I was saying, like I feel like to me maybe this is just their way, the animators' way of like adding in their own little bit to the story. Maybe they felt like there was some holes there. And I guess another thing too is I guess at the end of the day, looking at it from a bird eye perspective, it's just a recap.
Mhm.
So I mean, I can't really nitpick every small little thing because it was just a way to if you forgot everything because there has been 6 months, maybe almost to a year since season three. This has been a
Mhm.
long wait, longer than I think anybody expected. So I guess this is a good way to recap and also be snarky about it. Because if
Yeah.
we do see him again, we're like, oh, it's that guy from episode one. I wonder what he's doing here now. Um,
Yeah.
but I guess like if we can use this, I guess Medora is like, I guess want or desire to segue into episode two as we pick right back up. After season four, and I mean season three, like last episode where Togata, the guy, or Miorio, the guy with the ability to pass through anything, was kicked
Mhm.
everybody in 1A in 1A's in the class 1A's behind. I think pretty much that episode. I guess to sum it up before we talk about it is they talking about I guess the internships for this particular group of class like students. And essentially, it's like there are teachers against it and teachers for it, and they all have a good reasoning for it.
Mhm.
Every student now is trying to look for it because Eraserhead said he was against it. Then they had a meeting. He was still against it, but he was more in favor of students going for um agencies that have a good reputation of taking in students and protecting them as well if there comes danger. So a lot of the students went for the original internships that they went to. Froppy is wanted to go work with
Who?
Selkie.
What? Oh, what did you say?
Froppy is one of them wanted to go work
Yeah.
with Selkie again. As we learn later
Oh,
on, that doesn't work out.
yeah. I was
Uraraka,
so mad.
yeah, I was kind of disappointed about that too. Actually,
They're holding her back.
no, don't get too gung ho here.
They need
Calm,
to stop holding Froppy back.
calm yourself, calm yourself, Skippy. Uh,
Gosh.
Uraraka wanted to go see a gunhead. Granted, I don't know why they would send her back to Gunhead. She's already kind of learned everything she's gonna learn from him. Uh, I know Midoriya, Deku wanted to go back working with Gran Torino, which actually to show him calling him, and then Gran Torino saying that I got nothing for you. I got my own problems to worry about. Then he brings up that why don't he go ask his mentor, the guy who's training him to show him some sidekicks, which is this way at this point in the series, if you don't count the canon that is two heroes, which by the way we did a review of that several months ago. It's on my channel. Plug. But this is the first time we actually heard about a hero, a sidekick that All Might ever worked with, because we
Mhm.
don't really hear much about All Might's personal life or his life as a superhero, as a freelancer. We barely hear about any sidekicks he's ever worked with, which apparently I think he's only ever worked with, at least officially, we only heard about two. The one in the movie and then the one here. Um, Essentially, this has Midoriya walk to, go and try to talk with All Might. Yeah, this all happens in episode 2, actually, nothing, but he talks to All Might. All Might says that he would, but he can't, because he was also against the internships. He didn't want the students getting in trouble. And he
Mhm.
also told Midori, which, by the way, we're starting to get to the point where All Might's starting to become competent, because he talks to Deku saying that he probably should work on his shoot style, getting it to the point where he can use it in a fight. Because
Which is weird because in the I think it's in the opening scene you see All Might like dressed up in superhero costume in his shriveled form, like running all over the place, like he's trying to be a hero, and it's weird to see that because you're like, dude, just sit down. You know what I mean? Like it's okay now. You can retire, but like you see him
well,
running around, you're like,
I'm not gonna say any more than this,
mm,
because of what I do know. Um, I think you're gonna probably enjoy whatever they do with him, now, versus,
mm,
not saying you didn't enjoy him in the fights, because everybody enjoyed All Might during the fights, but I think we're gonna get a more. I think what they're showing is we're gonna get more of a sideline to All Might and him dealing with the aftermath of everything he's dealt with. So
mm,
I'll say I'll stop there. For what I do know of that, it shocked me. I would say, first opinion, yeah, he probably should sit down. I mean,
mm,
he had to retire because One for All was gone. He made it public he was gonna retire to everybody. But
mm,
honestly, thinking about it from a, if I were to see All Might walking around that suit, you think that he was gonna come back. I think it'd be a false symbol of peace in that situation. Like, why would he be wearing his old superhero suit? But yeah, I don't know. I
mm.
mean, there's a lot of things in that intro that I'm surprised they decided to show in the intro, but I guess that's Studio Bones, the people who make the show. Um,
Mm.
I guess back to what I was saying. Yeah, All Might says, but he says he. After that, he says that he. It's not that he isn't. It's more of that he can't, because he can't talk with his sidekick, because his sidekick was the one who told him who's going to end up like this, which I guess is an interesting little information, is that his sidekick um knew that he was going to end up like this, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how you thought about that. Like, what you think about that overall? Like,
That the sidekick what? I'm
knew
sorry.
the sidekick knew he was going to end up this way. Shriveled up and not being able to fight anymore.
Um,
Not going into what you
I
know
don't know
about
how he
episode
thought he
3, just like
was.
from episode 2. What'd you think?
I don't know because didn't Gran Torino kind of say something similar? It sounds like it was like a litany for him. That a lot of people warned him he was going to end up that way. And you see the same thing happening with Midoriya. Like they don't hold back on showing the scars on Midoriya's hands. And if you look, what's the lead guy from the upper class? The one with the really simple smile and the blonde hair that goes phases through walls and stuff,
Uh, I never did learn. I get this guy's. I think his name is Miorio. I think
or
we're gonna.
something like that. If you look really carefully in a couple of the shots, you can see scars on his arm.
Well,
So, I mean, they do that on purpose. You know what I mean? To like kind of emphasize that, like, if you stay in this business long enough and you're not careful, you're gonna be pretty beat up. But we haven't seen his sidekick with any scars, as far as I can tell. He looks like he's pristine. You know what I mean? So I could see that being part of their relationship, and they've been trying to build up like some sort of falling out that the two of them had. Like they're on good terms with each other. They have some big falling out like thing where they don't talk very much, and it might be because he's shriveled up, but it seems like there's going to be more depth to that in the future. To me, I don't think it's we know everything that we're going to know about that yet.
I think I mean, judging from what we do know of episode 3, I almost want to say that I almost think that he kind of foresaw, ha 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 ha, this outcome, or
Mm-hmm.
an outcome similar to this, or he foresaw an outcome that is going to happen. Um, I don't know if they're gonna get that in episode 4. I feel like they're going to, but I can't. I don't know. I forgot whenever they do show what happened, but yeah, like Night Eye is a sidekick that All Might used to work with, and apparently at some point they had a falling out, and Night Eye became his own agency. And we
Mhm.
get a chance to see them a little bit, see him in the agency, find out that he's a really serious looking dude. He kind of looks like Dexter, but grown up. He has his own sidekick called Bubble Girl, who, by the way, I brought up earlier on that I thought the photography dude was like maybe a fan made character, and I brought that there was
Mhm.
another character like this. Bubble Girl is that one. Back when this manga was being made, the creator actually had a contest for fans to make their own hero to get put into his no, I think it was his own quirk or whatever. It was something like that. Either it was a new character or something that he was gonna put into his series. As far as I know, there are two characters like this, and we saw one of them. I will let you know
Mhm.
whenever the second character comes up. Bubble Girl is a fan made character,
Cool.
which is kind of funny. Um, but yeah,
She's also kind of annoying.
I don't know. I don't know how she's annoying. Really, I mean, I think she's more upfront, and I guess it's just her
Mhm.
personality.
She
Uh,
didn't have like a good synergy with the scenes that she's been in so far. Like she was very much kind of an interruption compared to the other characters.
well, I think that was supposed to be the point, honestly, because like
Yeah, I
she,
know, but it didn't happen in a way that I like. Like I don't know, Dragon Ball Z, like Master Roshi is an interruption, but like he's independently fun and interesting. But like she was just kind of like screaming in the corner because she was being tickled and like this weird. I'm not sure if they were trying to be erotic or what the hell that was way, and it was just kind of like an awkward scenario because I'm like, is he punishing her? Like, is this really like what is his motivation here? It's like kind of like I don't know. I couldn't really attach much to it. I was just like, I guess he's punishing her, and it's supposed to be silly, but at the same time, it's kind of bizarre. And I don't know if they're trying to be like softcore pornographic about this or something, but like it's not really doing it for me. And I haven't really learned anything about her character, and they didn't build up to this joke; they just kind of launched into it. So I don't know like the dynamic between the two characters or why this is supposed to be funny. And like I just kind of like waited for that part of the episode to end so I could see what else was going on. And it wasn't like a cute. It wasn't like the cat and Trigon or Master Roshi coming in with a quip. It was just kind of like, oh,
well, I guess since we've already launched into episode 3, because I don't think there's much to talk about in episode 2. I think I already said everything. I guess another before you do
no, we
pass
haven't
on.
even touched. We haven't even talked about the overhaul in episode
Well,
in
that's
the
right.
purchase
Overhaul
of
was a part of
done.
episode 2. I forgot about that. Well, I guess
Yeah.
we'll get into Overhaul after I talk up just a little, mentioning a little bit of like I guess comedy with Bakugo and Todoroki. It's kind of funny that they're just in the background while all this is happening, and then like you can see Bakugo just being really upset that he didn't get his like license, but like you got Todoroki on the side making straightforward remarks, and it's just getting on his nerves. I just thought that was pretty funny. I just like
Yeah.
how I think Bakugo's gotten even more likable over the course of the series. And like if you were to look back at Bakugo when he first got introduced,
Mhm.
honestly, you wouldn't see Bakugo here like right now. You think he'd be a villain someplace else destroying things. So I think it's like I think it's pretty cool that we got into this transition where he's he's still himself, but it's like he's kind of calmed
Mhm.
down now. But I get
Yeah. But he's become a less interesting character in some ways to me too, because likable Bakugo is kind of one note. He still gets pissed off at everything, but that's like very often like the only thing that's to him. Like the original less likable Bakugo, like you could kind of like you were looking for the good in him and finding little glimmers of it here and there. The likable God Bakugo is like he doesn't do the jerk things, but he still gets mad. You know, and they're like, oh, like I don't know. Like I'm waiting for like the big. Like what is in season 4? Like what has Bakugo done that makes so far?
in the do you want to know, or do you want to wait till it pops up?
It's something that's happened so far.
Well, you mean up to this point?
Yeah.
I mean, Bongo's just been there. I mean, because like he hasn't gotten his like license, so he can't. The thing is, he can't do
Right.
anything because he doesn't have the authority to do anything. Uh, I,
Right.
I
So
I
he's
think
been sitting
I
there being he's been sitting there being grumpy at Icy Hot and the fact that he's falling behind. And he's not as grumpy as he usually would be, or pissed off as he usually would be, and he's not lashing out. So you can't say he's not likable. At the same time, he's just sitting there being grumpy in the corner because they can't. They're trying to do character development with him, and not. So they're kind of like they're not left with a lot to work with after that because there's like his attachments haven't been established well enough. You know what I mean? For him to do very much else except pull Icy Hot into his corner because he thinks of Icy Hot as kind of his league and act annoyed at everybody for being successful while in places that he's not. You know what I mean? It's a weird like sitting on the bench kind of position for him to be in right now. You know, he's been very humble because he was rescued at the end of the last episode of the last series. You know what I mean? And I'm waiting to see what kind of impact that had on him, but we haven't seen very much yet.
I mean, the impact with him battling Deku. I mean, honestly, but this is the thing, though. I think, honestly, looking on and now thinking about it now, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
Bakugo's too much of a good character, and I'm just gonna say this right now. I'm gonna preface this like, um, what he's been shown to be capable of. I think honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I think the main reason why Bakugo and Todoroki didn't get their licenses was plot
Mm-hmm.
wise. Also, because they needed to find a way to prevent them from being a part of the incoming action. Because
Mm-hmm.
from what we're doing right now with Overhaul, which we're gonna talk about right in a minute, with Overhaul and what I do know of how everything plays out, Bakugo and Todoroki
Mm-hmm.
probably could have handled whatever was coming. So I think they need to put them back so there would be an excuse for all this happening later in the future. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can say Lako Bakugo is not interesting. I think he's still interesting because I think there's still parts of his personality to pick apart, like such as like what is he thinking right now? What is like where is his what's his ultimate plan to
Mm-hmm.
to overtake the chosen one in his own words.
Mm-hmm.
He at the end of season 4, he saw himself as the detriment to All Might. All Might reassured him that he was not. That the detriment was his own making. But I'm pretty sure Bakugo doesn't 100% believe that, and I believe that's gonna probably lead to any and all later development. I see Bakugo being the ultimate incarnation of Vegeta for this series, in which he'll be extremely likable. You'll like it when he is jerkish. You'll like it when he does things. I feel like he'll be more part of the badass moments than not. Because
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna have to have him on par with Deku throughout the majority of the series, and we've already seen that. Basically, he's already outclassed Deku. Even with Deku learning to control All for One, One for All,
Mm-hmm.
Deku is still falling short. He has yet to learn how to fully master this power that he's gotten. He's only able to use 5% and 8% when he's extremely motivated. In the grand
Mm-hmm.
scheme of things, that's an extremely small amount of power to be using when you're supposed to be the next symbol of peace. And you have all these other people in his class that probably could, if given opportunity, probably maybe beat Deku in a proper fight because Deku doesn't have much experience. But
Well, he also doesn't have the finesse of a full hero yet.
what none of these people freaking do. They're learning.
Yeah, but that's the other thing though. Like the full heroes like are like legendary compared to these guys. And you get so into them and how incredible they are. And then a full hero will come in and just make them look like an idiot. Moves.
Well, I like that though. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I like that because like a
I do
lot of
too. It gives
times,
them something to work for.
and yeah, like in a lot of times in anime, you'll have this really overpowered character who's freaking really cool. You're like,
Mm.
yes, I guess a good example would be in Naruto. You have characters
One
like,
Punch Man.
huh? Well, I haven't watched the
One
One
Punch.
Punch all the way through, but yeah,
It
like
took.
I'll get around to it. Right now, the animation is throwing me off. I can't get past the switch of the animation every time he does something funny. It does something cool. It's jarring. But back onto My Hero Academia. Um, you got characters like
you know.
from Naruto. You got like characters like Kakashi, for instance. He was shown off to be this really cool character. He has a power that at the time we didn't know much about in Naruto, and he's doing all these really cool things. You got characters like Jiraiya, who's supposed to be this high class ninja that no one could touch. So I mean, as you got into the series, characters start touching them, being able to like, I mean, for crying out loud, like Kakashi got beat up a bit in Naruto, and he shouldn't have because he's supposed to be this high class ninja. But like with My Hero Academia, you got characters like, for crying out loud, like Best Genius. Best Genius was freaking able to hold back All for One. Not for long though, but the fact he was capable of doing that is freaking amazing.
Hmm.
Normally you wouldn't think that he'd be able to do that, but he's capable of doing that. You got characters like Gang Orca, who kind of gave Midori and a Class 1A and 2A a run for their money. A lot of these heroes like are actually proven to be a hero. They're capable of taking down people.
Hmm.
They're not just there because that's a hero name. I mean, you got characters like Mount Lady, who I didn't think much of and still don't think much of her, but
I like the
she's,
Mounter.
yeah, a lot of people probably made that joke.
Hmm.
She managed to save Midoriya when they were Midoriya, Todoroki, um, uh, Ida when they were rescuing Bakugo. Like she
Hmm.
stopped that. I mean, you got people like Kamui, the wood dude. I mean, they've like, every single hero that we've seen at this point that did something over the course of 3 seasons, proven that that they were like a hero.
Worthy.
Endeavor took down a Nomu just by considering it. Like I mean, there are a lot of things that these heroes I actually enjoy. At least at this point in the series, don't let them get outclassed by the youngsters. Let them keep being awesome until like a time skip or something like that,
Hmm.
where like the kids would have to be awesome. So but I
Hmm.
like that idea. If it even
And the
like all,
freaky thing is then watching like that last scene with All Might's last fight, where a low power All Might like still outclassed even Endeavor. Like Endeavor like was just like, oh man, I'm a chump right now. You know what I mean? And backing off and like Endeavor and like letting All Might like take over. But like it's just weird to see like as far above these heroes are of like Midoriya and the gang, like that moment with All Might where he wasn't even like probably a third of his full power at that point. Like he was still outclassing all the other heroes. You know what I mean? And doing something that the rest of them combined might not have been able to do.
yeah, I think this just that goes a testament of like how powerful All Might was. But I guess back on track, because I think we'll just talk about Overhaul a little bit because we don't know much about him, other than what they
Mm-hmm.
literally just talked about of him, which was that I like this series because they really do a lot of world building. They introduce a whole new character, and we get a whole new society of people to be talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
Overhaul literally brought in the Yakuza now. Like, we now know the Yakuza exist in this universe. Granted, I guess it's to be expected because it's Earth, just with powers involved. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess at the same time, it's not that shocking. But the fact that they're bringing in the Yakuza, and I guess the interesting little tidbit to bring about Overhaul is that, Overhaul, he has a quirk that, from what we've seen, kind of acts like Shigaraki's quirk. Um, just one touch disintegrates people. Um, that's kind of dangerous, considering that it looks like Overhaul wears gloves to prevent that, and Shigaraki needs to touch people with all his fingers to use his quirk. So there's definitely some similarities
Mm-hmm.
there that they had to have a grasp on whether they're trying to destroy. But we've seen that Overhaul went to Shigaraki, and Shigaraki eventually initially thought he was there to join his gang. Found out that was
Mm-hmm.
wrong because we found out that like I guess it's a good example of like how the Society of Heroes works. We got a chance to see what this whole the Society of Villains work and how they think and what they thought of the people above them, the villains that they have to
Mm-hmm.
aspire to. And it was kind of cool to see that considering that Overhaul, we now know he's pretty young because his generation thought One for All was I mean All for One was a myth until he came out of the woodwork and
Mm-hmm.
showed that he was real, which is weird.
Mm-hmm. Overhaul seems to have more than one quirk.
No, he only has one quirk.
Why was Compression Man unable to use his power on him?
You probably missed it because it probably seemed negligible at the time. But do you remember something that looked like it shot across the screen like it was like a blip and nobody knew what happened? It almost seemed like a bullet.
No, I didn't notice that.
There was something that shot across the screen. Even I think they even bring it up because I know that one of the extra guys that was coming with Overhaul said that he
Hmm.
missed his first shot, and I
Mm.
think he had a gun too. So I mean, he shot something that nullifies quirks. At this point, we definitely
Oh,
do know
okay.
there's something out there that can nullify quirks that's in the bullet. Whatever that is, we don't know. The
Oh,
fact that
okay.
they have to be careful with their shooting too is also is to be called into question. But yeah,
I felt really bummed that Compression Man lost his arm and was knocked back.
was
I
Compression Man?
like,
No, Magnum was killed. Never mind. Yeah.
yeah, but he was like, he wasn't killed, but he lost an arm, and he's kind of a character I love to hate. Like, he was so good. Like, he's one of those people with like a medium level quirk. You know what I mean? That like isn't change the world good, but he was so good at like using it and like playing everything out. And like, I felt like he needed both arms and to have a complete body to be fun to watch more than some of the other characters would have. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Like if
I mean, granted, the whole idea with him, and I hear what you're saying that he was really fun to watch, but also the idea with him though was that
mm,
he was
mm,
a fairly older man. Like I think he might have been in his 60s or 70s, one of his 60s
yeah,
probably.
but he's just such a maestro. Like he was so masterful when he was up against the UA students, and I really hated. It. But at the same time, I wanted to see. I wanted to like the series earned a really good death for him or a really good life for him, and they've earned him being like a big deal when he went down. And then they kind of threw it out in this fight to show off how big and powerful Overhaul was. But like I was just like, I don't know, like they should have. I don't know. Maybe they could have gotten rid of
That's,
discount Deadpool instead or something. You know what I mean? Like
no, I
it was
like
the wrong
Twice.
one to
Don't say that
lose.
about Twice.
What, that he's discount Deadpool?
Yes,
You notice I said discount Deadpool and you immediately thought of Twice.
because that's essentially who he is. He is Deadpool.
Yeah, he's
He's
not bad. I
he's
just
more Deadpool in the dub than he is in the in the Japanese sub. You had to watch
I
this
mean,
sometime.
I just don't like that they threw him away. Like he wouldn't.
I don't think.
I don't think they should have thrown the female away. Like because I feel like she has a really good use in the plot still. And I got why they threw the big meathead guy away. They magnetize the opposite gender. I think is his ability. And
I
I
don't
got the why
think.
they threw him.
But here's the thing. I think you jump into conclusions. I don't think. Now I don't really 100% know. But I don't think they got rid of him because like what they essentially said that they need to get him to the hospital. He ain't dead yet. He was still breathing when he left the screen. And the general rule for animation is that unless they were killed on screen, they're not dead. So I think you're
No,
jumping
I
to
know that. I don't
conclusions.
think he's dead. I just think he's like broken. And like there's a lot of characters that we've seen like broken that aren't the same anymore. Like Bestinus, for example. We haven't seen him in a long like beaten up in the field and then they rescued her and she's not dead. But she's like not the same now. You know what I mean? And that guy, like, he was so majestic with his two hands and his big theatrical hand gestures and everything else. And I just think that like they broke him. You know what I mean? And I just don't think it's going to be the same for me to see him now. Partially because of that, and also partially because he was larger than life. Like he put on a really good show, and now I know that like he's very, very beatable, and that kind of breaks my impression of him too. You know, it breaks the way I was impressed with him.
I don't know if that should really break your impression. Now, granted, now I will say about Overhaul because you mentioned how big and powerful he was. I would say as much. You probably don't know this, but I'm just gonna just let you know this now. This ain't a spoiler. This is just more of the fandom. From
Yeah.
before Overhaul showed up and when he did show up, I remember people are freaking out. The people who actually read the manga before I did were freaking out that he showed up and
Mm-hmm.
saying he was like the best character. Oh my god, he's better than Stain. Now I'm gonna let you decide that for your own. But for what I've saw, from what I read and everything that I've learned about him, I think Stain's better. I
I like
I I,
Stain.
I don't think he's better than Stain. Now I'm gonna probably get a lot of flack for that, but I think Stain to me, yeah, his quirk wasn't all that flashy, he wasn't all that showy, but Stain to me
Mm-hmm.
had a better he to me as a villain, sometimes you gotta
Mm-hmm.
be likable and you gotta you gotta be able to understand where they're coming from sometimes. Like yeah, you got sympathetic villains like Joker, for instance, people like Joker so freaking much is because they understand and they can sympathize with him. I mean, well, not too much on the psychotic side, but I mean, his origin story kind of makes you feel sorry for him. You got people like Doctor Freeze. Before they changed his backstory, you felt bad for him because his wife was dying.
Mhm.
Stain in here, like he wants to change society because he feels like society went the wrong way with superheroes. From what I've seen and from what I understood, now they might change my mind, but for me, I don't think Overhaul is all that likable, and I don't think he's that dangerous. Uh, but
What's the
that's
guy with all the hands on his face again? What's his name?
Shigaraki. Is his name. I don't think he ever had a
They
villain
have
name.
they have pretty much the same quirk, right? One of them blow up, and the other one makes someone
I'm
run
gonna
away.
say no spoilers, but from surface level, they definitely look the same. Um, once they give you what it actually is, power base wise, honestly believe overall. Now I don't know what Shigaraki they're gonna do with Shigaraki in the future.
Mhm.
As if his quirk evolves or whatnot, but just on how things work with their powers, overall could probably whoop Shigaraki, and it wouldn't even be funny. Um, and I think those two are kind of the same age. Granted, Shigaraki made it seem like he was older than him. I don't know, really
Mhm.
how old they are. So I don't know really like, if Shigaraki is older than he is, or if
Mhm.
Overhaul's older than he is. But
He seems more better trained and more experienced.
well, I mean, overall, definitely. I mean, he was part of the Yakuza. As I back to saying, like, I really like this show when it is over world building because they show that in the villain world, while like the heroes are experiencing a growth in superheroes. I'm doing hand gestures right now if you can't see. They're doing experience they experience the growth in superheroes, so that the villains. They experience the growth in like villains. But when All Might showed up on the scene, they squashed that. And you're probably wondering, what does that mean? What does the Yakuza got to do with this? Well, the Yakuza was very interesting. Very interesting that this is what they were used for. Apparently because villains had powers and not all yakuza's had powers. Apparently, or they had good powers. They were used as like fodder. So essentially, they were like hired help for the villains. So like villains besides One for All, who no All for One. I keep mixing those things up, man. All for One. I don't even know this man's name, but All for One. They would hire the yakuza, but once All Might stepped in the scene and made villains disappear really quickly, the yakuza weren't useful anymore. So they were hiding. They're essentially hiding, and Overhaul is trying to bring an insurgence back with the Yakuza, which, by the way, from the little bit we did hear from talking what his ambitions were, he's got very high ambitions, so he's not a bad character. But I think the hype that Overhaul, when I went into it, had, I was expecting more, and I don't think he delivered 100%, in my opinion. Um, is he better? Is his goals better? Like more achievable than Stain's? Yes, by a long shot. I think he could definitely achieve his goal a lot easier. How he plans to achieve that goal, I don't really know.
Mhm.
Um, I am lying through my teeth, by the way. But so yeah, I
What do
mean,
you think? What do you think One for All is expected to support him? Like he's like try as many times as you,
oh
and
Shigaraki,
that's why yeah,
oh,
that's why I'm here and everything. But like, what is he being there? Like, what does he do? Can he speak to him psychically, or is he actually speaking to him psychically? Like,
I think the idea
what does
is
him
that
being there like do for anybody?
I think the ultimate idea is that he said this over and over, especially during his fight with All Might. Uh,
Hmm.
Even though All Might was holding him back, and All for One, One for All was holding him back, and it looked like All Might, delivered a finishing blow. A lot of that fight was tailored for All for One to essentially get caught. I believe All for One wanted to get caught because he was training his protege because he kept bringing that back up in his fight with All Might. Like it didn't seem like it really mattered if he was gonna win. He didn't really care. He was just there to cause mayhem and mischief, is which he did. He was just there to break people's faith in superheroes, in heroes. Like and essentially he was just there to make sure that Shigaraki was there to witness all this. Because as we've seen before,
Mhm.
Shigaraki isn't doing what he usually does, which is, by the way, go back into the fray and see if what I can mess up. He's actually waiting. He's actually hiding. This is kind of a first for him. He's usually all about action, not really inaction.
Right.
So like the fact that he's
I get
actually
that. So why
waiting,
does he say that's why I'm here?
essentially without spoiling anything,
And also, how does he even know anything's going on? Being
that,
isolated. I mean, he wouldn't.
that's just him. That's just how he is. I mean, he spent most of the time when we first saw him sitting in a chair, but somehow he was still able to keep up with the events of the world.
Right. So
So I
maybe he
mean,
has some
you
quirk that
answer
lets him
that.
do that.
I don't know. He might have a quirk that allows him to keep tabs. He might. I don't really know. I don't really know the full scale of what he has.
Yeah, because I mean, even if he was bribing a guard for news, the guard would know like what was going on in the criminal.
I honestly, what I believe, and truly believe, what when he said I was here, as you will, as I was watching a couple of other people watching My Hero for the first time, and some people called All For One anti All Might, and that is so freaking true.
Mm-hmm.
All Might, whenever he's there to save somebody, he says I am here. That's what All For One is doing. He's pretty much saying
Yeah.
that I am here for you, Shigaraki. He's literally being anti All Might. He wants to groom Shigaraki to essentially be the one who ends up becoming the All Might for the villain organization. He is trying to make an All Might, but in a way that he can control. As I said before, All For One, he has lost a lot from the surface. He's in jail right now. He's probably in jail with anti-quirk cuffs on right now. But from everything that he's been doing, has he seemed worried to you? Has he seemed like he was concerned? He's
No.
doing everything to his plan. He knows what he's doing. He's doing everything on purpose. And it's
Yeah,
all
I just want to know how he knows, especially if he has something suppressing his quirk. How does he even know what's going on?
I got no idea. There might be
And what does
TV
he
in
think he
jail.
can do about it if he does?
There's
You know what I
TV
mean?
in jail.
Like, what does him being there have to do to help anybody other than removing himself from the game? I could understand. Do you know what I mean? But if the way he's saying that's why I'm here, like,
I mean, that's what
implies
he
that
did. I
he's
mean, that's what he told Shigaraki. As you saw, that Shigaraki is heavily dependent on
Mhm.
him. So much so that when he told him to run, he didn't. He had to force him to run. Um, but like I said before, like he's trying to groom him so that way, like as I said before, he said that I am here. You can try again as much as you want. He's essentially giving him the safety net for when
Mhm.
he does fail, because he knows he's going to inevitably fail, and he wants him to get to the point where he starts asking him for help. I think
Yeah,
All
but
For One is
what is the safety net? Like, why does
the fact that he knows he's there, but the fact that he isn't there anymore because he's in jail, and he blames All Might because we already know he hates All Might. So what happens when you have a little kid? You probably could take this. You have a little kid, say for instance Grayson's like
Mhm.
5 years old and he goes to first grade, and
uh,
he's afraid, but you're going to tell him that if you ever need anything, I am here. What is that telling that
mhm.
child? You're not alone.
Daddy's
But
not in jail?
let me continue. Let me continue. He,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Grayson knows that his father is there for him if he needs him for anything, if he gets bullied. But
But that guy's not there for him if he needs him. He's in jail, in
let me
high security
continue.
prison.
You're not letting me continue my point. But say if you got run over for
Mhm.
a car, you're dead. You're not there for
Uh-huh.
him anymore. That safety net that he had, besides his mother, say Jesse becomes distraught and she can't provide for him as much as she could emotionally. So like he doesn't have his mother. The father that he knew, the father that told him that he would be there for him, is no longer
Mhm.
there. He got taken
Mhm.
away. Who's he
Mhm.
gonna blame? The person that ran you over, the trucker. Granted, now take that over to Shigaraki. He gave Shigaraki the net that I am here. You can try as many times as you want. But now he's in jail, as you said it 3 times now.
Mhm.
Well, he knows he's not there anymore. Shigaraki's gonna have to start thinking on his own. That's gonna cause Shigaraki to
Mhm.
evolve. He's gonna cause him to change what he's doing. as we see, he's not attacking people as much anymore. He's literally hiding like a scary.
The trucker that hit Dad also got screwed up in the accident too, and is now like needs a walker to get around.
I hate how you're. I hate how you're making. I hate. I hate. I hate how you're. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You sat on that one. You sat on that one. You sat. You so sat on that one. I hate you for that. That was good. That was well timed. But I hate you for that. But back to what I was saying. Regardless of the essentially what I take from all for one saying that I am here, he's trying to set up his protege so that way when he eventually does die, because I think all for one knows he's gonna die at some point. Shigaraki's gonna be more than ready, because he sat there and said that, in his own monologue at the end of it after he got beat, that like, you're setting up your protege for failure. I'm setting mine up for winning. Shigaraki now doesn't have that. He doesn't have that safety net anymore. He can't afford to fail. He's learning. If he fails, then that's just a failure. He doesn't have Daddy all for one there to pick up his pieces and let him have at it again.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have the backing of the Villain Society. The Villain Society is afraid. They don't want to. Granted, they're not afraid as much anymore. I mean, that's just what happens when All Might retires. But they're afraid. Shiraki's afraid. He doesn't know what to do. Like, why do you think he's hiding? He doesn't know what to do. It's essentially him contemplating what his next move is going to be. He no longer has.
I thought he was recruiting people.
No, I don't. Well, I mean, it looked like it, but I mean, Overhaul said he wasn't here to get recruited. He was here to recruit. You saw how that turned out. Your buddy Compress got destroyed.
He's not my buddy. I just thought like he was. I thought the character had more potential than that.
Yeah, I want to have him over for dinner too.
Oh my gosh!
I'm getting you back for last several seasons.
Think about the great ways that most of the other. You had the Muscle Man guy like have this battle with Midoriya. You had the guy that created fumes, like the poison gas, like he had a really cool death. You had like
none of these characters died though.
I know, but like the Muscle Man died, didn't he?
No, Muscular's still alive. He's in jail.
Right. Well, they all went down like in a really cool way. You know what I mean? The guy with the weird teeth, he lived? I forgot. I guess he did. The guy with the weird teeth was another good example. Like, way of going down. You know what I mean? And like, Stain obviously went down hard and epic, and then that was kind of like had his arm blown off. He ran at the guy, and then he got paralyzed or depowered, and then his arm popped, and then he's now in the hospital. So I don't know. Like, I would assume that he's out for a while with an arm blown off. Like, I don't think people have their arm blown off and then go out baseball the next day.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, ask Deku, but here's the thing. Compress, I think he even stated that his quirk wasn't all that great. It's just that he was there for reconnaissance. He was there to capture something. I don't think his quirk was going to be better for that.
Skilled. He was highly experienced, especially if he was in his 60s. Like, he would have been like Gran Torino.
He was an escape artist, though. He was a magician.
Yeah, but I mean, he was experienced. Like, he came in with like no plan, just flew in head first when he's like, he's not that flying head first type. He's a magician, so he uses diversion and tactics and things like that. But they had him just kind of fling himself in head first, and then like, and someone from the shadows that of all the characters there, he would have been most likely to notice, being, the master of deception, shot him. He didn't dodge it. He got hit by it. Didn't even know what happened afterwards, because he was like, something blocked my quirk, and he didn't even connect that it might be that dart that hit him. And then like his arm blew up, and then like he was out. And it was just like, I just felt like he was very throwaway. I think the other guy was like an okay character to throw away because he was just a big tanky, meaty kind of bad guy with sort of an awkward quirk anyway, and he was also kind of like a. They were using him as kind of comic relief for the most part, or to be a generic tanky guy to fight them. You know what I mean? But I think that character was so theatrical and so cool that he was not best used as that. You know what I mean? I
I
would have
think you just
felt
attach
just
yourself to the wrong character. That's what I
I'm
think
not
happened
attached
here.
to him. I just think as a writer, like I think that it was a poor character to throw away.
I don't know. I don't know what else you could have used him for. I mean, yeah, he could have probably he'd be probably get great for escape routes, but then again, as I said before, like with Bakugo and Todoroki, they're literally like ace bombs, which is why I think they don't even have the licenses yet because I think it's just the story writer's way of preventing them from being the way out. Um, they're essentially not
Mm-hmm.
going to be a part of like, with the main storyline. They're going to have their own little storyline in the background, but and I mean, yeah, Compress was cool, but honestly, he didn't do much for me. The only thing I knew he was good at was like making things disappear. His quirk was really good for like parlor tricks. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, he definitely I mean, he was the main reason why they got Bakugo in the first place. He literally made it so that they couldn't get him. So yeah, I mean, yeah, he was pretty good. He definitely had experience, but
He made
age
everybody that he
age
made everyone that
usually.
went up against him look like a chump right up until that moment.
Yeah, but I guess another thing too. I mean, him throwing himself. I mean, that means at least he cared. I mean, he could have been that ruthless, cold-hearted dude and just let Shigaraki, let him talk down to his friends that he apparently got to know for a long time. I don't even know how long he was even there.
Yeah.
I guess another thing too. I mean, I don't think he was really meant there to be there for much longer than that last arc because he just showed up out of nowhere like Muscular did. Like the main
Yeah.
group that we grown to to know and want to see more of is still there. I mean,
Yeah.
they could have killed Spinner, which by the way, I think he's more throwaway than they're letting him be on. So I don't know what his situation is.
I
Oh,
don't know where Spinner was either, but he has like the secondary objective of being like the person to carry on. He's like a worshiper of Stain, and he's like the only one I can think that's got that established right now. And so that makes Spinner sort of a neutral character, not an evil character. Because he's got a code that he's following. It's just not one we'd ever agree with, you know. He's not just trying to create havoc. Like he's like Stain, who I thought was sort of an anti-hero, you know.
well, as much as anti-hero as you could get when up to the point where you start killing heroes.
Okay, anti-hero would not go against heroes.
No, not unless it got in the way of their agenda. But Stain's agenda was to kill heroes.
Right, but not kill anybody else or steal or specifically he's
I, s-
trying to
I,
purify
I s-
heroes.
I get you, but at the same time, I don't think even an anti-hero would try and kill another hero. Like they got into fights with heroes before, sure, but I don't think they've ever tried to kill one. Because
The idea though
they
is
shouldn't have
that
a reason or a bias towards killing a hero. They shouldn't.
he's saying that these are false heroes. And when he did find someone that he thought was a real hero, he said, I'm not going to kill you. You're a real hero. And I'm not in the business of killing real heroes. I'm in the business of cleaning out the stain of false heroes that I found on the earth so that we can make more room for the real ones to shine.
But the people
So in
that he
his,
was killing, besides native or attacking, I didn't really see what he saw that was vile within them. I mean, for crying out, Ingenium. Ingenium was just a hero, just doing what he was supposed to do. And from the way Ida described it, and granted, maybe there's more to the old Ingenium that we didn't know of. But as far as I can tell, Ingenium was like probably one of the better like heroes that they shown.
misguided, absolutely. But at the same time, like, he thought he was doing a good thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that, but I'm just saying like I feel like he's as anti-hero as you can get before he starts crossing over into killing people. I agree with his message. I agree, with his philosophy. But the way he was going about it is like that's pretty much where I feel like he was pushed to being the villain.
I guess
Now,
so.
but that's the only aspect is that what he was his actions was making him a villain. His
Yeah.
philosophies was what made him a hero. Shoot, I mean, if we're gonna love that, I mean, that's probably the purest way to look at something. Heroes
Yeah.
shouldn't be getting paid. Honestly, in comic books that we know of today, heroes don't really get paid for their, hero work. They only get paid for doing a
Right.
job that they're hiding in society for. Superman's a
That's
freaking journalist. He don't
See,
get.
but that's what I meant. Like he sees these people and he's like, oh, they're getting rich on this and they're getting famous, and you've got Mount Lady that's going out and like people
I mean,
things.
if he attacked her, I would say, okay, well, I mean, that kind of makes sense because she's stated that she's in this for the money. Um,
Right. So you have heroes like that, and then Stane's being pissed off. He's like, no, like heroes are supposed to be selfless and they're supposed to be righteous and courageous and not thinking about, you know what I mean, their long term benefits. And then he meets Midoriya and he goes, you know what? I like you. You're a real hero. You're the
Okay, I'm going to go and say because this is how we're talking about Stain right now. This is why I mean I truly believe from what I know overall, Stain's a better character. I don't care what anybody says, but overall, I don't even like. I mean, he's not a bad character. Overall, it's pretty cool.
Mhm.
But the way we're going back and forth with like what we believe was Stain and what he was doing, I feel like
Yeah.
he's better layered. Like everything about him is better layered. You know,
Stain was like probably, I think, my favorite of the people that oppose the heroes in this series so far. I think I like him more than
I would say
come
he's my
across.
top five, top three. He's by far my favorite like antagonist. That's what I'm gonna call him, an antagonist. He
Yeah, but I mean,
he
who was even the other two in your top three? Like, who competes with him?
all for one, obviously because he's just all for one. Um,
I
uh,
offer one kind of like I'm not so into him.
but I say he's up there because he's just like the main hero, All Might's bad guy.
Yeah,
I
he's the main villain, but I'm not into him as deep as I am like some of the other villains. Like as a matter of fact, I'm almost always the type of person that likes the villains more than the heroes. But in My Hero Academia, I tend to like the heroes more than the villains. Like My Hero Academia doesn't have a lot of really interesting villains, in my opinion.
well, I say they fixed that. Like I said before, the list
Mm-hmm.
I have thinking about it, like I put overhaul like in top five. I would
Mm-hmm.
have to really skate, and I mean skate with an overhaul in top three.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because like I would honestly sit there and say that I'll take that back. I believe he's number two for me overhaul. I
Mm-hmm.
Stains is just like overall top tier for me. Just because like how
Mm-hmm.
layered he is and how much he can get into his psyche, and the fact that he's still affecting the society to this day. He may be in jail or in prison on a respirator, but he still had a lasting effect on society. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Um, I say he's had a more lasting effect on society than All for One, and that's saying something because All for One's been around forever. Uh,
Yeah.
and Overhaul, like, it just people love Overhaul, and I can see why, but at the same time, he's not as deep as I would like him to be for a character from what he just displayed here, and then what I know about him in the future. He
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna say if you didn't like Compress's reaction to something, and if you liked Overhaul here, some of the things he does
Mm-hmm.
later on are probably gonna confuse you. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's just one of those things where like with Stain, as I said before, I didn't agree with everything he did. I didn't agree with how he did it, but I agreed with his philosophy. And it's just one of
Yeah.
those things where I think that's a good character to have. Like you can agree with his philosophy. You can literally relate to him more based on that than his actions. Uh,
Yeah. I'm looking through a list of the villains. I'd have to say if I had to pick my three favorite villains, Stain is one of them, Dobby is another, and then
I can't pick Davi because he hasn't done much yet.
but I don't care. Just talking about the ones that I enjoy watching from
All
what
right.
they've done so far. Dobby was kind of cool. Like I liked the way he played a distraction. You know what I mean? I liked like the way he's used his quirks and things like that. I think he's kind of cool. The compression guy, I think, is one of my top. I think Stain far and away is my number one favorite. You know what I mean? But like, I look at the other ones, and there's a big drop off after that. Like, All for One is not one of my favorites at all. You know what I mean? I just don't. He's so generic. He's such a Japanese mastermind villain that doesn't have a lot that I think separates him from that like. I mean, his primary like strength is probably his patience and his willingness to like sit back and be a Sith Lord about it. Do you know what I mean? But like, I don't I don't get excited when I see him on the screen. I think, okay, that's the final boss, and he's going to do stuff, and it's going to be a big deal. But I don't really go excited.
I don't know if that was the goal for the character though. Honestly, I mean the guy's face was like murdered by All Might. There's a lot of people don't talk about either. It's like All for One kind of has a legitimate reason to hate All Might. Uh,
Well, at that point, like he already hated All Might, and he got in a big fight with him over everything. But okay.
I mean, I think Sting definitely number one. I have a hard time. The thing with Dobby, and I want to like him so much more than I currently do like right now, because it's not like I don't like Dobby. I just like there's
Mm-hmm.
just so much mystery surrounding him, his quirk, his connection with Todoroki, that I just want to know more, and I want confirmation on something before I can sit there and like say that yeah, Dobby, he's definitely top five for me. He's definitely top five because of what he's capable of doing and what he's shown. His blue flame is like
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous, and it's like he can do a lot with just one hand, which is even
I don't know.
weirder. Cause
Like, I
like
want to know more about him. Do you know what I mean? Like when I see him on the screen, I'm like, oh, it's that guy. I've been wondering about him. You know what I mean? Like, does he have a connection to Icy Hot? Is he like one of the fallen child, or how did he get that scar? And like, why is he so smart? And like, what's his motivation? And like every time I see him, I want to learn more about him. And I like Spinner, but Spinner's too much like out of like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle universe for
thank
me
you
to
for
be
saying
like one
it.
of my.
Thank you for saying it. I've been holding back for so many months because I didn't want to offend anybody. But thank you for saying it.
Yeah, but he's too much out of that universe to be one of my top three. I do enjoy him, and I like Twice okay and stuff like that too. And I like Himiko a little bit, you know what I mean? But like those three are the ones that really like. I'm like, there's more to this person. There's a story to them, and they have a lot of sense of style. And I want to see more, and I just don't get that feeling from a lot of the other characters.
I think there's more to be had from a lot of these characters. It just depends if the story calls for it. I mean, even looking at Twice, yeah, I will say I like Twice. I like his Deadpoolness, but it doesn't do a lot considering that we've like. I mean, that's just essentially who he is. This is Deadpool. I mean, his
Yeah, I
quirk.
think we just kind of got him figured out now. I don't think there's going to be a character reveal for him.
I mean, you never know. I mean, considering that his quirk, he doesn't. His quirk is so weird that he doesn't even know if he's real anymore. I think that's really interesting, and
Yeah.
it'd be kind of cool if they decide to go with that, and maybe he finds out that he is a clone, which is probably the
Yeah.
biggest MF of the entire series. He's not actually a clone,
Mm-hmm.
and his real self is somewhere on the ground, somewhere in his bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
That was the funniest thing ever. But yeah, I mean, he's more
I guess
comic
I like that
relief.
guy that makes the Dark Gates too. I forgot about him.
Ew, well, he's just a gate, and it
But
really, if anything, he's just
he's
really
really
there.
smart though.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he's old. But I think that his whole idea, he's just there to be the butler to Shigaraki's Batman. That's really what he is. He's literally an evil Alfred.
I kind of see him as someone that could be like now that um All for One is kind of arrested. I could see him as being like a prime mentor. You know what I mean? Like the strategist that like could help grow a little bit. You know what I mean? I think that he could be doing that. He's smart enough to be the next smartest person now that All for One is gone.
He's not gone; he's just locked away. I mean, there's also a good chance they're gonna try to break him free.
Yeah.
I get what you're talking about. I mean, I don't really think about that guy that much. I mean, like his only danger was we didn't know how his quirk worked, but after Bakugo literally slammed him to the ground and just basically yelled out how his quirk worked, he's not really that dangerous. I mean, yeah, instant teleportation is really dangerous, but like
Mhm.
at the same time, it's like it's only as dangerous as you can make it, and the only real way you could make it dangerous is if you were to decapitate somebody. But as we saw, that didn't work on All Might. So I mean, I highly doubt it'll work on anybody else.
Yeah, but he's also, like I said, he's also really smart, and I think he understands the big picture in a way that the other characters don't necessarily. Because that's what got him so outclassed. That this guy came in, and he was like, "Well, what's your big plan?" He's like,
I mean, yeah, but back to I guess like overhaul as we close out this.
yeah,
Um, as I said before, uh, he's cool. Like I mean, his introduction is pretty cool. What he did essentially is
mm,
showing his power was really freaking cool. Um, as
mm,
like as Joaka said, it looks like Shigaraki's quirks, so we'll have to learn more about that. Also, that's another thing too is we're starting to see similar quirks popping up now in terms of like what they look like and what the I mean, Dobby, for instance, looks like he has like Todoroki's quirk, but we don't know anything about that. To this point, I still don't know what's up with his quirk, and I still want to know because I feel like he is. I mean, don't quote me on this, but I feel like he is the missing brother that Todoroki doesn't talk about.
yeah. I think about that. That's why, like, I look at Dobby, this guy. This guy's so cool. So
I mean, he looks
that's
he
what I think.
kind of he kind of looks like him anyway.
Yeah, but that's what makes a compelling enemy to me. Like someone that like I look at them and I want to learn more about them. I want to more about their history, and I want to see what they do because what they do is so cool and stuff like that. And there's not a lot of enemies that I feel that way about, you know. So that's why I said Dobby's high on my list because like every time I see him, I'm like, I want to know the more story about this guy. Same with Stain. Like I want to know more about Stain. You know what I mean? And I want to see what he's going to do next.
Well, unfortunately, Stains and I don't know. We're going to see more Stains.
I know what you're saying, but like that's how I felt about him. When like Stain left the scene, he left me wanting more. When Dobby left the scene, he left me wanting more. When Muscular left the scene, I forgot that he was even alive. You know, like that's just the difference between them. You know what I mean? That's just like when I watched All for One, I could give a crap about All for One. I wanted to see how powerful All Might was. You know, and that's just how I felt about it. Like a lot of the characters didn't leave me curious about them or wanting more. But those three characters were the ones that like when I saw them on screen, I was like, I want to watch them again. I want to like get to know them and I want to see like what they're going to do and I want to know about their past and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah,
Like
I
what
get what you're
set
saying.
Stain off? Like what set Stain off and how did he get so talented? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, we saw what set him off.
What set him off? I forget.
It's just the Society of Heroes. Like, he went to school because he wanted to be a hero when he was young. He went to school. He saw how society at the time was treating heroes, how heroes were treating the profession at the time.
Yeah.
And like he wanted to protest, but
Mm-hmm.
society wasn't paying attention to him. They saw him as a hippie because he had dropped out of school as a hobo and just
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to do anything. So as for where he got his skills from, that's actually a good question. I don't know who the heck he trained with, but he was dangerous. Um,
Yeah. And then he has sort of like a cult following. Like Spinner's a good example of that. Isn't there a scene where like they were going to kill Midoriya and then Spinner stops him and says, no, that's one of the ones that Stains said to spare, you know?
yeah, yeah,
And
there
like,
is.
yeah, like he has a fanatical and extremely loyal following of people that like see him as almost like a prophet or like,
Well,
you know, a moral like beacon for them.
I mean,
So
Gran
like even though
Torino just. I mean, Gran Torino said that he has the quality that All Might has, presence.
Mhm,
So
exactly. So like even if he's in jail right now, his legacy is still relevant. You know what I mean? And I know that the same applies to All for One, but it's just so obvious with All for One, and Staines feels more earned. You know?
well, I mean, I don't think All for Ones is not earned. I mean, he's been around and he's gotten a name for himself because of it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, like Stain inadvertently earned his because I don't think he was working trying to earn anything. He was just
Mhm.
trying to change society. Because essentially what he was trying
Yeah,
to do. Speaking of
but All for
TMNT,
One,
he probably looked the
All for
most
One is like
TMNT.
All for One. Like since day one, they've been like, this is you build the entire story around as you're thinking about this, you know, and everybody's going to be 1 degree closer or farther away from one of these guys, and like those are the two ends of the pole, you know, and like Stain just kind of like slipped in the middle of the series and became legendary because of how cool he was, and and he filled in this vacuum in the story of like this moral ambiguity about the heroes because he was calling them out. And it's like Stain like created himself more than the other two that were just like the narrative kind of like announced these two as being a big deal, but Stain kind of like came in and kind of settled in like afterwards, you know what I mean, in a way that you couldn't shrug him off like you could shrug off Muscular or like some of the other people that they beat in the past.
Yeah, I guess to really wrap this up real quick because I really did not finish off talking about episode 3. Essentially, I guess the big overall thing is that Deku finally got accepted after a trial with Night Eye to be to work as an intern, and now
Mm-hmm.
we've ended the episode off with essentially them going on their first mission to scout around looking for Overhaul because that's who essentially
Mm-hmm.
is the main antagonist of this entire series or villain. What are you gonna call him? Uh, and he's dangerous, quote unquote, because he wasn't doing anything for a while, and all of a sudden he popped up on the radar. Which, by the way, like, how in the world do you keep track of that guy if he hasn't been doing anything? You think that him not doing anything would put him under the radar, but I guess not. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, overhaul is cool. It's cool for just for the story building aspect. Stain was cool for the story building aspect and what he actually did. Now, honestly, I don't remember Overhaul that much, so when we finally do get to what he does in the series, maybe my mind will change. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember by the end of it, I still like Stain more. When I had to
Yeah,
when I had to compare the two, I still like Stain more. Um,
right.
Essentially, Stain the series, ha ha. I think that makes us we need to end this. So, I guess with that, we'll come
Wait, didn't
back. Hmm?
one more important thing though, like Froppy, like do you think her hair is a slightly darker shade of green in this series, like in series 4?
Maybe I don't pay attention to that kind of detail.
Her hair seems darker to me. It seems like a darker shade of green, and she's wearing shorts, and her legs are just killing, man. Also, did you see the way they drew her clavicle?
No,
It's kind of hot the way they drew it.
I guess speaking of talk about the way they draw on girls, you probably
Mm-hmm.
didn't notice this, and it's kind of bugged me. Now I don't really care if if they draw a girl a little bit more curvier than she is in the series in the manga, but
Uh-huh.
you're gonna laugh at me when I say this, but the girl who called Froppy and Uraka to talk with them
Mm-hmm.
in the anime while she was walking around, her bust was bigger. But for whatever reason, inside the intro, if you pay attention, she's smaller, and I don't understand why.
Maybe it's related to her quirk. Like you know how in Super Saiyan females, like their
I knew
boobs
this
get
is where
bigger
this
when
is
they
gonna go when I triggered it. I knew this was gonna. No, we're not gonna go down that route. We already went down it like how many episodes we were doing Dragon Ball Super?
their
140.
boobs like double in size when they go Super Saiyan. So maybe like that's what's going on with her. Maybe she gets different proportions when she powers up. Like All Might becomes super muscular, right? When he powers up.
It's still something so like it's inconsistent. Is all I'm saying. It's very inconsistent, and you wouldn't notice that unless you were one of those people who are nitpicking every single detail
Mhm.
about the series.
Speaking of boobs, though, do you think Uraraka ever need like? Do you think her boobs will ever get saggy, or do you think she can just use her quirk to make them like light and bouncy for her entire life?
I'm just gonna let the people who are watching this do. Oh, I didn't know Digimon Prox was Pro is what was here. Hey, and apparently he
Yeah,
likes twice.
that was a little while. That was like an hour ago,
I
but
must
it
have
was too late.
I must have missed that. Is he still here?
No.
Oh, hmm. Just don't notice that. Oh,
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I don't know. I'm gonna answer this, but I'm pretty sure she could probably like make them waitlist.
she could.
I'm pretty
That
sure she
means that
could.
she can make her own body weight list. Can she do that?
Yeah, she's done it before.
Oh, then that's cool. But maybe that would be like one of the things that she learned nuance details about their quirks. Like maybe she can do something where she makes only her boobs weightless. But if her boobs are really big, would that make her sick? Because she gets sick to her stomach if she makes too many things weightless, right?
I think she's overcome that.
Well, is she done with puberty? Maybe they're still growing.
Okay, I'm gonna end this off here. I don't want to I don't want to get into the anatomy of anime girls. That's a rabbit hole I don't want to dive down.
I'll dive down that hole.
You already done that to Froppy. Heyo, we're gonna end it. See you guys next week.